Chapter 3. A small bag and a rucksack each. A small bag and a rucksack each, and less than an hour to pack. Only Mama Buki was told. Uncle Tunde took her outside, to the back of the house, away from the women in the kitchen. His strong whisper, however, carried through the open window of Sade's bedroom. Sade tiptoed a little nearer to the net curtain. If they know Folleran's children are in London, they will keep special watch at the airport. Until he is well away, let everyone think the children are in the country with relatives. Sade knew who her uncle meant by they, people who hated her father because he wrote the truth. A sudden slamming of the bedroom door behind her startled Sade and also brought the conversation outside to an abrupt stop. Femi, his back to the door, stood poised like a boxer set to fight, but who cannot find his opponent. His eyes were full of misery. "What should we take?" asked Sade. When Femi did not reply, she opened her cupboard and stared at its contents. Mama Buki entered the bedroom. Silently, she wrapped her arms around Sade. Femi edged away, but Mama Buki reached out and pulled him in. Slowly, Sade felt him soften a little as their aunt pressed them close and murmured a short prayer for God to keep them safe. Her body was warm and sticky with the heat of the day. If only they could fall asleep and wake up to find everything had been a bad dream. But there was no way of blotting out the sounds of weeping prayers and shocked voices that continued to thread through the house, even underneath the closed door. When Mama Buki released the children, she worked quickly. "It will be cold in London. Your Uncle Deli will have to get you some warm clothes right away," she said. Neither Sade nor Femi said anything. "Is this light sweater all you have, Sade?" Sade nodded. "Fit it in your rucksack. You'll need it on the plane. We shall have to find you a sweatshirt for Femi." Mama Buki now spoke as if they were making a quite ordinary journey. Sade tried to think what special things she could take with her. It was impossible to grasp that she would not be seeing her home again for what might be a very long time. Whatever she took had to be small. What would happen to her desk? After her last school report, Papa had asked a carpenter to make it for her especially. The wood even came from the forest behind family house in their village near Ibadan. Both Mama and Papa had been born there into neighbouring families, although only Mama's mother was still alive. Grandma presided over the same house where Mama had been a girl and Papa the boy next door. Sade loved the desk's gleaming dark wood and the curves within the perfectly planed surfaces. They reminded her of the winding paths that led deep into the forest. All that was to be left behind. Could she at least take her favourite ornament? The head of a young woman with beautifully patterned hair, her very own young Iowa, who seemed to hold some special secret as she watched Sade do her homework. Sade picked up the ebony head. She needed both hands. It was far too heavy. She put her down next to her partner. The head of a young man, Oko, with heavy-lidded, rather sorrowful eyes above fine, narrow cheeks. Let them at least stay together on her desk. "What about this, Sade?" Mama Buki held up the aso-oke that Sade had worn to the last family wedding. Mama had made splendid new clothes for all four of them from the same deep blue material woven with golden thread. Sade felt her eyes pricking again. "I don't know, Auntie," she said quickly. Let me roll them up small anyway. You need one good outfit, wherever you are." How could she ever wear it again, thought Sade, the last time they had all been so happy. Mama had sat up late every night for a month sewing the wedding clothes. Sade remembered saying that the blue shone like the sea at Lekki Beach at sunrise, and Femi had joked that Mama was sewing up the sea. At least the outfit would help her keep that memory. From the bottom drawer of the chest, she lifted out a small bag in the same material. Mama had made it especially for her, lining the inside with shimmering blue satin. Blinking back no tears, Sade slipped it down the side of the holdall. Mama Buki packed for Femi, asking Sade to fetch what she needed. Femi sat listlessly on the chair by Sade's desk. When Sade asked if he wanted to take his cards and his game of Ayo, he shrugged his shoulders. She put the pebbles and the board into his rucksack all the same. Their father came to say goodbye. He sat uneasily on the edge of the bed. "Don't worry, I shall be with you soon. Your Uncle Dele is going to take good care of you. We shall speak to him tonight when he gets back from work." Uncle Tunde had already tried to get Uncle Dele at his flat in London, but no one had answered the telephone. "If he can't get to the airport, Mrs. Bankole will take you to the college where he teaches." Papa handed Sade a piece of paper with his neat handwriting. At the top was written, "London College of Art," with an address. "When you get there, ask for Dr. Solaja. But before that, take care. Until you are safely there, your surname is Bankole, and you must only use the names in the passport." He paused grimly. "You know how much I hate lying, but right now we have no choice." The children listened to their father in silence. Outside, the compound lay drowsy in the still, dry heat of the sun. It was Harmattan season, when winds from the Sahara blew south, shrouding everything in fine, misty dust. This was the time in the afternoon when Sade liked to seek refuge in her father's study. The large revolving fan made waves of cool air dance throughout the room. Often Papa was away at the office, but even when he was at home, he would let her clear aside the books on the small side table. Although he would be absorbed in his writing, she loved it when he was there. Mama would bring them each a drink at 5 o'clock, sometimes joking about beans from the same pod. Then, as the sun began to go down, Femi would pester Papa to play football with him between the pawpaw and flaming forest trees. Papa was waiting for them to respond. Femi flinched as Mama Buki placed her hands on his shoulders. "Your father is doing what is best for you. We shall all miss you." Their aunt struggled to keep her words steady. Sade's voice was choked. How could she speak without becoming confused and jumbled? Yet if she did not use these few minutes, when would they see Papa again and be able to speak to him face to face? She sat down beside him, leaning her head against his chest. Femi inched towards him and Papa drew him closer. Feeling the strength of Papa's arms around her, Sade heard herself ask in a small voice, "What will they do to Mama?" She was taken aback at her own question. She did not want to think of Mama laid out on the stretcher, yet she needed to know. The doctors have to do a post-mortem. They must check what is the cause of death. When that is over, she can be prepared for burial. Papa spoke gently. "Where?" Femi asked gruffly, his head down. "In our home village, if possible. We have to see. Look, we shall still be able to talk over the phone and..." Papa broke off as Uncle Tunde poked his head around the door. "Sorry to interrupt. It's time to leave. We have to get through the traffic." Uncle Tunde had driven his car around to the back compound. "It's better if no one sees you," he said bluntly. He opened the rear door and pointed to the floor between the seats. "Squeeze in down here and I shall cover you up." A dark grey blanket lay on the back seat. Femi's face wrinkled in protest. "You can be sure your uncle will make me lie down there when we go out." Papa embraced the children quickly. "Look after each other," he said huskily. "We shall be together soon. Odabo." Mama Buki's cheeks were wet as she kissed them. Sade clambered into the vehicle and crouched down in the narrow space. Femi followed, and a few seconds later the blanket covered them like a great thundercloud. "Femi," Sade whispered. "Are you all right?" She stretched out her arm to touch her brother. Her fingers clasped something knobbly, his knee. Usually when they played in the dark, it was a game full of giggles and weird sounds intended to frighten each other. Now, Femi made no response, apart from a muffled sniff. "Femi," she repeated. He jiggled his knee as if to shake her loose. Sade withdrew her hand and hugged herself tightly. She listened to Uncle Tunde open and close the boot. climb into the front seat and slam the door. Each movement carried different vibrations. They were being swept away from their home and from Papa, submerged in darkness. The engine was revving now, and they were leaving, to some unknown place. Only a few hours ago, Mama had been carried away under a blinding white sheet. Not seeing, not hearing, not feeling. But Sade could still hear and feel. She dug her fingers into her palms, wishing she could stop all sensation.